few things that I tried before Sleep Science Academy. Um, a major one would have been like years ago, I had insomnia for a little bit, and I found this program called Sleep Tracks. And it was, I guess, in essence, it was like somebody had said, like, oh, kind of like a distraction tool of like you listen to it as you're going to bed. The funny thing is, it never actually worked for me in that regard, but they did have this one track that you listen to, and he was like, you can listen to it at any point of the day, you can listen to it before bed. And it really did kind of help because for me a lot of it was anxiety related. And it did help me like be calm and like find a little bit more of like that inner peace. And it gave me confidence of like, if I listen to this, I'll be able to sleep. And then this time around didn't really work because I was like more, I don't know, panicky and more anxious. And as much as I feel like the first time around it was helpful, the second time around I was like, I feel like this isn't enough. Obviously it wasn't helping me. I was like, I need something more. So I was just like on the kind of like on the hunt of like, okay, what else can I find to help me? Because what worked in previous times didn't. And then also just all the Google searching that you do of like, oh, like sleep hygiene and all those different things. So, and not that they aren't beneficial, but for what I had going on, I was like, I think I'm too far gone to, to have it be beneficial for me. I, the reason they didn't work for me or other things that I tried didn't work is kind of like I already said. It was way too in my head, like way too much anxiety, overthinking, over processing everything. Um, a lot of it was like, oh, I need to like, what are the tools? What are the steps? If I, do A, B, and C, and I have this like little method or whatever, like I'll be able to get to sleep. And where I guess after going through Sleep Science Academy, like that's what it actually taught me of like, no, like you need to actually like let go and stop being so like extra in your attempt to try to fall asleep. Science Academy, my sleep in general, when I look at like the history of my life, I've been a pretty decent sleeper. Occasionally kind of a weird night here and there if it was like a hotel room or a vacation or something. Um, but when like the two times where I've actually struggled with um, hard insomnia, where it's not just like a night or two here or there, um, it was rough. I had multiple days, or I guess multiple nights of either completely not sleeping or sleeping 2 to 3 hours a night and having panic attacks because I wasn't sleeping, and it was rough. After working with Sleep Science Academy, my sleep is a lot better. I feel back to normal. I'm sleeping between seven, normally more so like 7.5, 8, sometimes 8.5 hours a night. Um, I'm not as consumed by my thoughts about my sleep. Um, so like even the daily anxiety of like constantly thinking, oh no, am I going to sleep tonight? Like that has gone down dramatically. Occasionally, you know what I mean? There's like certain things that come up and I'm like, oh, like kind of throws you off for like a little bit. But um, biggest, I think, thing was just one that my coach recommended was to journal before bed. And that has helped me kind of like reframe those thoughts before even getting in bed of like, hey, like, even though, yeah, you've been sleeping better for however many days, just to kind of always before I go to bed, just to kind of check in with myself and write it all out of like, hey, no, like these are all the good things, all the things that you've learned, giving myself like that positive talk versus like dreading, like, oh no, what is the night going to bring? About 2 weeks. I had taken a number of different medications, um, sleeping pills prescribed by therapists, doctors. I had even done like CBD and THC and all these different things to help me sleep because I was like so panicky about it in that season. And it probably took me a good 2 weeks to realize and to reframe, and to really accept, like, hey, this is just for a season and it might be hard. And once you stop taking all of the pills and everything that you had been taking, you're probably going to have a few hard nights. Um, but it, like, once I started sleeping better, I could tell that, like, every night it was just like, even if it was just tiny little progress of like, oh, you got an extra 20 minutes or an extra 15. But I could definitely see that like those tiny little positive small growths of like, hey, we're heading in the right direction. So working with Sleep Science Academy was, I would say, overall very positive. At the beginning, when I first started, I was very overwhelmed and even a little, I don't know, I feel like there was a word that I told my husband at one point, um, like a little discouraged. Like it felt like there was information coming at me, and then I was like, oh, you really have to kind of look at yourself and be like, oh, I'm actually the problem here. Like, I'm making this harder for myself. Like, I keep trying all these things and getting in the way. um and so it took, you know what I mean, like I said, about 2 weeks to kind of reframe. And even so, even after, like, learning all the things and then constantly just going back and going through the things that I had already learned, but just applying them on a daily basis. And it was harder than I thought it would be. Um, but I think really it taught me things that I feel like, as I look forward to, like, the future of like sleep in general, and will I allow myself to get into kind of the mess that I created? um, I feel pretty confident, like pretty positive, that because of learning everything that I learned through the Sleep Science Academy, that it just, like, I feel so much more prepared, that it's like, even if I have a night here or there, or even if, for the, worst comes to worst, like a week or more or whatever, of hard sleep, to not let myself spiral and get into such a negative headspace. Because it's like, now it's like, I know what sleep really is, and what makes you either successful at it or makes you not successful at it. Has improved my life in the fact that I feel it's nice to feel normal. I'm a mom of three, constantly going, busy, running around. And when you don't have energy to even kind of take care of yourself because you haven't been sleeping, like, and then you're trying to pile on three kids and all the responsibilities of, like, getting them situated for their life, and then trying to take care of a household and all of that kind of goes into it. um, it's it just feels good to feel like me again. This program is designed for anybody struggling with their sleep, whether it's like large struggles of like, oh my gosh, I'm freaking out and having panic attacks, you know what I mean? Like, um, and haven't been sleeping for days or months or whatever without the source of drugs. But even I don't know, I felt so down to earth. And like, there's so many people that I feel like are like, oh, I had a hard night or such and such. And it's like, there is a lot to be said when it comes to like good sleep hygiene, and just kind of being aware of the habits and the things, and the stresses that we are constantly going through in life. um, that really anybody who is stressed or overwhelmed by life could benefit from going through Sleep Science Academy. I would tell someone who's first starting out that, as much as it might feel scary and hard and overwhelming and maybe a little discouraging at times, keep going, don't give up. Um, Eventually, and as weird as it is, I kept thinking, when is it going to click for me? Eventually, it will click for you. That doesn't mean that it's going to be like a week or two or three. Who knows what it is? Everybody's journey, I think, is different. Um, but if you just keep putting in the time and putting in the work and following their advice, like, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and you will get there and you will succeed.